All right, let's do it. All right, Aftershocks Tremors. Been looking forward to doing this one all week, and we're going to the East Coast to Salem, Massachusetts. We're talking to another one of these kick-ass bands that Ripple Music and Ozzy bassist Blasko have been pumping out over the last few months. So we got from Mother Iron Horse, we've got Marco, Dylan, and Chris with us. Guys, what's going on? Thanks for coming on. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Thanks you guys for coming on, and let's get into it, man. You guys just released your sophomore record, Under the Blood Moon. What a barn burner of a record this is, man. I mean, it's definitely similar to what you guys had going on your first record. With of course some different twists and turns, but I know vocalist Adam. I know he's not here to talk about the lyrical concepts, but you guys are obviously here to talk about the musical concepts. And I did see that Adam, when he wrote the lyrics, he was coming from a place that was due to the effects of the pandemic. So with you guys, man, what place were you guys coming from now writing and recording the album? Was it from a similar place to where the lyrics were coming from, or someplace entirely different?
We started writing this album just before 2020. We had our original bass player. We wrote a couple songs, and 2020 came. We had the pandemic. We kind of took a break, right, from playing and practicing for a couple months. Right?
We were playing like a lot of shows, so we weren't writing as much. And then it was pretty much like the month before the pandemic, we were like honing in on writing, and then the pandemic happened, and we kind of, when it happened, we were writing on our own and whatever, and then finally got together in like August or something.
Yeah.
To like actually start.
We did take a little break during COVID.
Okay.
And then we just went right to town, started writing. We picked this guy up just before we got into the studio at God City in Salem, and really like honed it in.
Sure. No, absolutely. Well, I mean, to me, I mean, musically, you guys sound reminds me a lot of some of the classic Bay Area artists. I mean, I hear lots of Matt Pike influences, Sleep High on Fire type of stuff. Vocally, a little bit of like a Neurosis sort of sense. I mean, but of course, you guys have, I think, a lot more of a sludgier, bend to your songs. You have some '90s sort of alternative, pieces with the guitar leads and fills I hear in there. Obviously, I think that's most evident on the track. My favorite track on the record, which is the title track, Under the Blood Moon. So I guess talk about, what you guys were trying to go for sonically on this record. I mean, what was yours, and I guess, just your guys' approach to putting, I guess, this kind of sound together as a unit when you were writing and recording the record?
I think we definitely wanted to like be a little more sludgy, and because the first record was pretty high energy, and it was fast, and we wanted to kind of bring it down and really hone in on like writing songs and bringing it all together with some like slower riffs. And it still has the energy, but it's definitely down a few BPMs from the first album.
Yeah, we played a couple tours with Dutch Guts, Leather Lung. We played with a lot of bands, and just kind of bringing their energy and their vibe into our new record as well. We kind of wrote our first one and then started playing shows. So it was like mostly a meld of all our different styles of music. I mean, we got some of us very into like heavy doom, very slow sludge, and then a lot of more high energy stuff like, punk and rock and roll, so we kind of added all that together, really finalized our sound for this album too. It definitely, from beginning to end, it has that same feel.
Yeah, no doubt. And was that just sort of a conscious decision to do that this time around? Like, obviously you don't want to have everything sound the same, so did you want to just purposely kind of get more sludgier? I mean, or was that just sort of like how your mood was because of, what's been going on? Was it just more of that sort of, down and out sort of thing? I mean, it has that sort of, I think ambiance to it on this record.
I think a few of the songs we had, like, we were messing around with riffs, obviously. We like the riffs.
Very riffy.
But we had a lot of these riffs, like kind of like right after the first album, but we just didn't, we were just like, would fuck around with them. And then that was it, But then, once we started putting it all together, we realized it was turning into, more sludgier stuff. And we kind of wanted to be heavier, and kind of just really pound people in the face with sonic boom. I don't know.
Yeah, no doubt.
Really giving to me with coming into the group and kind of giving my input about the lower frequencies and how that works sonically and how big versus warm like the low end can be to help those guitar parts, you know.
Sure. Well, I mean, not sure the new guy in the band, Dylan. I mean, how much, I guess, of an influence now on the sound, the change in the sound, has to do with what you're bringing to the table. I mean, I guess that's more for Marco and Chris to answer.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I guess I'll preface it with I come in and just try to do what I can to help fill out the sound that they're going for, you know.
Sure.
Yeah. I come in and try to just be supportive and fill a role, you know.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No doubt. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, as I mentioned earlier, Blasko, I mean, we saw High Desert Queen, Holy Death Trio. Now you guys, he's obviously doing such a great job showing the world that rock and metal is alive and well, regardless of what anybody, Gene Simmons, whoever else, saying that rock is dead. Talk about how you guys wanted to hook up with Bosco and Ripple, how you guys started, became a tandem there.
It's actually a really funny story. Me and Adam run the Instagram, and he reached out to us on Volume Forever that he runs. And I didn't know who he was. I didn't even click. I was like, oh no, we're on a label. We're all set. Adam pulls me aside and says, dude, you know who that is? No, I have no idea. I start investigating, and I'm like, oh my God. So now we're like, oh, Adam's writing messages like, don't listen to him. And we start deleting messages to get to the point where, like, yeah, very interested. And it's been a trip working with him ever since. We recorded the whole album in our own studio. Sent the demo tracks to him, and then he put his input, wrote us out a list of things to change. We went to God City to record and just applied all those changes that he had come up with. And I think it's the best thing that we could have put out, honestly, you know?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, yeah, speaking about your own studio, I did read, when you guys first started the band, you built your own studio from an old mill that you found. I mean, talk about that. I mean, because that's a very interesting way of starting your musical adventure as a unit together. How did that come about?
Yeah, that was really exciting. Like that was a lot of fun. I recorded bands for like the better part of the last decade, and I got like kicked out of my old spot, and then I kind of met up with these guys, and that then we ended up getting kicked out of the spot we were at there.
Yeah, we were too loud for our jam space that we were at. It was like in a neighborhood in Danvers.
Yeah.
And the owner kind of dicked us around, like lied to us and said that he was renovating. And then as we got all our stuff out, told us like a month later that we were actually out of a space. So
we were like, fuck it, let's just build our own space.
We bounced around for about a month or two, I think, at my buddy's garage. And then we found this mill building, and they said, hey, whatever you want to do. So I started throwing up walls. I attached my wood shop to it. So when you walk in at first glance, it's a wood shop that builds guitar cabinets. And in the very back, you open a door, and then there's a studio. You would never even know it's there.
Wow. That's pretty awesome, building your own studio. You don't hear about that very often. I mean, that's really cool. Well, the other thing you mentioned too is the record was recorded at Gold City Studio in your hometown there of Salem, Massachusetts. I checked out the studio online just to get a brief glimpse of the history of it, and then what I saw was a place that's been, I guess, sort of the go-to recording spot for a lot of the metal, hardcore, and punk bands within the region. So I guess talk about Gold City and its importance, on the rock and metal community in Salem and around the region there in Massachusetts.
Yeah, God City is owned by Kurt from Converge. Huge in this area, huge everywhere. I mean, you can't really escape that. Matt Pikes recorded High on Fire here.
Okay, yeah.
Right when you walk into the studio, there's a bunch of trash barrels, and right above it, you got Kurt's Grammy for being the engineer for High on Fire, which is kind of funny.
That's awesome. Wow.
Great studio. We worked with Zach Weeks over there, and his input on the album as well. We come in there with this idea, everything is perfect, and then we hear it, and he says, turns, hey, this is not right. This is not. Oh, so we last minute changing things. It was awesome. I mean, this guy's input on the album as well as Blasko's just changed everything. I think it's so very professional what we have going right now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah.
it was nice to have like 3 producers,
Yeah.
you know, to like really get it.
Bunch of eyes everywhere.
Well, you think having that many producers is that you think could be maybe detrimental, having too many eyes or ears on what you're doing, or do you think in your case it was actually very beneficial?
It worked because we all were like, yes, these are all good ideas.
Everyone was
there
totally
okay.
on the same page.
Yeah, everybody was
Awesome.
on the same page. There was
It was just 3 people to like proofread, and they all came up with the same thing. These all worked and made it happen.
Okay, very cool. Oh, awesome. Well, you know what's interesting too is, I mean, you guys were starting to really sort of peak before the pandemic hit. You had the big festival in LA scheduled, the Psycho Smokeout.
Yeah.
You had tours, festivals booked. I mean, everything was going great. You put out a record, the Lesser Key on Electric Valley, the Italian label. All systems go, and then just like that, boom, the rug gets pulled out under you. I mean, I'm going to assume that this release has to be very sort of cathartic in a way. I mean, after having the worst luck a band could possibly have is you're building steam and steadily rising among the metal community. And then just like that, the momentum was sort of halted from, something that was completely out of control. I mean, talk about, I guess, how cathartic or sort of therapeutic this record is to get this out. And, it's obviously something that's been building up inside of you. And then after what you went through and having that momentum just sort of, stop out of, like I said, something that was out of your control, this has got to be pretty, I would think, cathartic to get this out.
Yeah, it's kind of a similar feeling from the first one. Like we recorded the album and we had it for a while and then finally released it. And then we were playing shows, starting to play shows and everything. And that seems like that's kind of the path we're on again. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, the momentum will rebuild and we'll get back to business as usual.
I think one of the biggest things is we had our tour was booked. We were going to leave in early April of 2020, and we started seeing the news and things were going downhill from there. So we're like, oh, we're still going to go. And then last minute, it was like, no one can do anything. Everything went halted,
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just like, it just bummed us out a lot because,
Sure.
we had the van was ready. We ordered thousands of dollars worth of merch to go out and sell and to have on tour, and just kind of couldn't do anything for a long time. It felt like forever, honestly. Yeah. We didn't play a show for almost a year, was it?
Yeah, it was over a year.
It was over a year, yeah.
Damn. It sucks, man. I know, man. Well, like you said, good thing is now in terms of live music, I mean, so what's it looking like in the Massachusetts and New England area right now? I mean, there are parts of the country where, like Texas and so forth, that it's really open, but places like out here in California, not so much. How's it doing back there in the East Coast in the Northeast?
It was when we played our first show back at the Middle East in Cambridge. Great vibes, tons of people. And then from what we understand from the booker and stuff, that all the shows are kind of dwindling and not a lot of people are going out, and it's
public confidence difficult. Is going down.
Yeah.
We played in July, and we were one of the first metal shows back in the Middle East in Cambridge, and no mandates, no masks, no nothing. And then the following week you had to be vaccinated, and then the following week it was vaccinated with masks. So it's going back and forth, and it's kind of like I don't really feel like we really should rush into shows if that's how it's going to be. I want it to go, balls to the wall. Everyone can go and have a great time, and I don't want anyone to complain.
Yeah, no, and I understand. I mean, there's some shows here that I was, be honest with you, I didn't go to because of that. I was going to go, but it's like, I mean, it's hard to sit there, wear a mask, and keep putting up on your face at a show. It's just really, it's difficult. And, obviously you want to be respectful and do your part, but it's, as a fan, and I'm sure more so as a musician, it's just got to be frustrating. But, I mean, well, the good thing though, I mean, for you guys is, you guys continue really to survive throughout the adversity of all this. I mean, you got right back up after, the whole pandemic hit. You dusted yourselves off. So you wound up signing with Bosco and Ripple. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I've seen that yet, where a band not only didn't lose sort of the buzz that they had, prior to the pandemic, but not only that, but also sort of move up in terms of taking that next step as a band that you want to do, getting on a bigger label and having the support you have now. I mean, working with a producer and a guy like Blasko. I mean, how are you guys sort of able to, I guess, not get deterred and to actually prosper, throughout this whole ordeal, regardless of the numerous roadblocks that a pandemic Burlesque provides. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
I think just like, we took some time off, but then we got back together, and we were like, I know for me, I wasn't hanging out with anybody besides these guys. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we got much closer, and we really wanted to figure out what the hell can we do, So we made the music video, and that's how Blasko saw us. So I feel like that was, the right thing to do at the time,
Yeah.
And
I think our friend network is extensive, and it everywhere. Like I ride motorcycles. This guy's in bands. This guy's everywhere. Like, Adam knows a ton of people. They keep us going. They keep the hype going. So, when we're like kind of getting down, everyone's like, when are you going to write a new song? When are you going to come out with a new album? When's the next video? Everyone's just kind of bringing us up,
Mm-hmm.
It's a great community.
Yeah. So reach out to our friends all the time, and they really kind of hold us up,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's pretty awesome. Like I said, I haven't seen many bands actually prosper through this, and so you guys are definitely one of the few that I have seen. So that's really impressive. I mean, one of the things going back just to music and obviously talking about Salem, the first thing I think that people think of, when it comes to your hometown is obviously the infamous Salem witch trials in the late 1600s. There is a song you guys have on the record called "The Witches," so I'm going to assume that there's some sort of correlation between the two. No, talk about that.
Yeah, we try to keep the Salem vibes pretty heavy. It's it's right here in our backyard, so we're always. It's November now. It just ended, but I swear that this was probably the biggest year for Salem tourism ever, and I want to say it's because of 2020. Everyone's back now. So 2021, everyone flooded Salem. There was everyone that I heard. I try to avoid Salem through the whole month.
Okay, yeah.
The downtown area, I try to avoid it for October, but everyone told me that it was outrageous this year. So it's good to kind of see people come back from that.
Sure.
Every other month of the year, Salem is an awesome city to go out. There's a great nightlife, lots of drinking, bands. They have a couple great venues over there too that play our kind of music, a big heavy punk rock and everything too. So, cool. we gotta always pay respect to Salem in our music.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, well, I'm sure one of the big reasons too, it's Halloween, and I'm sure everybody wants to come to Salem during October. My wife is always she wants to go there for Halloween because of all the everything about the whole Salem witch stuff in the museums and everything. So yeah, I'm sure it's definitely another reason. Plus, people being holed up for a pandemic, they're finally getting out there in tenfold. So yeah, I can imagine, man. Well, let's. So what's the band's plan right now in order to get this record into as many years as possible with all the restrictions? Like I said, I mean, shows are kind of going back and forth. Touring's kind of on the back burner right now. Are you guys, planning on maybe hitting up any spots around the country where the restrictions aren't as strong as they are in the Northeast? I mean, or any live streams? I mean, what's your guys' plan to actually push this record in a tough situation that we're in right now?
We have the show on Friday.
We're playing a show in Connecticut this Friday. It's a Boom and Brews Fest, and it's at Jewett City, All Tones Music Hall. We went to Texas in August for Ripple Fest, kind of to help out with the signing with Ripple and blah. We wanted to meet some people in person. I think meeting guys like in Holy Death Trio, like those guys absolutely rip. That was great.
Oh, yeah.
High Desert Queen. We went to that Ripple Fest and Friends party on the Sunday in Houston. I think I'd like to. I think we're looking at like a spring tour maybe.
Okay.
Another music video.
Okay.
It's kind of like where I'm thinking that maybe this will help out.
Yeah. I heard a lot of great things about that. Ripple Fest in Texas. I mean, Ripple's not too far from where I live here. It's just about a couple of towns over. And I've been to the ones out here in the Bay Area, but it sounds like nothing. It was like nothing like the Texas one was, which just seemed like it was just, obviously enormous. There was, I've talked to High Desert Queen, and they said that there was just people coming, in there from all over the country, even from outside of the country. I mean, what talk about that experience a little bit, about how that was, that show.
It was cool. Great bands. It was in this it was like a water park, but it was a big warehouse kind of thing. And so outside there's guys like wakeboarding and all this.
Wow, man.
The light show was insane.
They had a good light show. I think there were like 12 projectors or something, and this place was huge, and the whole
You couldn't escape the
run-
liquid light. It was insane.
Nice.
He had like 4 projectors going too. I forget his name.
It was
I have
really
his card.
cool.
He's like the guy. He's the guy.
He's like in his
According to my
60s.
buddy Shane, you know.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Well, guys, so once again, the band is Mother Iron Horse. The album is called Under the Blood Moon. And so, guys, go ahead and let the listeners and viewers know where they can check out the, keep up with the band, what the happenings are, tour dates, listen, get some, some samples of your music and all that good stuff.
You can listen to the album pretty much anywhere. I think Adam has
streaming service.
everything. Adam makes sure that we're everywhere. Metal Injection had it the day before, and the best way to keep up with us is honestly our Instagram. That's where we're the most up to date. I barely use the Facebook aspect of the band thing, but
okay. Well, fantastic. Well, there it is, Under the Blood Moon, Mother and Iron Horse. Once again, it's out now on Ripple Music. And so, guys, thanks for joining me and talking about everything. And good luck with the record and on the road. And hopefully, we'll get to see you guys out here or just everywhere sooner than later. And good luck. Good luck with everything. Thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, guys.